Hello, dear listener. Welcome to the tale of the Steadfast Tin Soldier. A story of courage, love, and perseverance. Sit back, get comfortable, breathe, and let your imagination carry you to a magical world where toys come to life and even a one-legged soldier can demonstrate what it means to stand strong. So, let the story unfold. The Steadfast Tin Soldier by Hans Christian Andersen, read by me, John Donaldson. In a quiet little town there was a house with a cosy playroom, where toys filled every corner, and the walls were covered in pictures of battles, castles, and dragons. Into that playroom the boy that lived there carried a box of tin soldiers that he had received as a gift for his birthday. There were 25 soldiers, all identical, with shiny red and blue uniforms, all painted with care, and muskets at their sides. Each soldier stood tall and proud, ready for battle, as soldiers should. But one soldier was slightly different. He had been made last, and there hadn't been enough tin to finish him properly, so he had only one leg. Despite this, the little tin soldier was proud and steadfast. He balanced perfectly on his single leg and looked at the little world around him with courage. He thought to himself that a soldier must never falter, no matter what the challenges. Between the window and the fireplace there was a large table. It was a world of wonder, filled with an impressive wooden castle, a sparkling lake made of glass, and many delightful figures. The castle stood near a mirror, so it sparkled like a palace in a fairy tale. As the boy placed his new soldiers along the walls of the castle, something caught the attention of the one-legged soldier. Standing in front of the castle was a paper ballerina. She was delicate and graceful, with a flowing white dress trimmed with gold, and her arms raised high above her head. She balanced elegantly on one foot, her toe fixed to a little copper base in the shape of a star. The soldier could not take his eyes off her, and gazed down at her silently. She looked as though she belonged in a world of grace and beauty, but something about her made the steadfast tin soldier feel a strange connection. He thought she too must only have one leg, and his heart stirred with even more admiration. He hoped she might notice him, although he doubted that she ever would. When night fell and the room was left in silence, the boy went to bed. Then something magical happened. As moonlight streamed through the window, all the toys stirred and came to life with whispers and giggles, and they played and laughed, moving about in the moonlight. The tin soldier remained still and silent, as he could not speak. His gaze was fixed on the ballerina as she danced and twirled in front of the castle. Suddenly, a mischievous jack-in-the-box popped open with a loud click, surprising the other toys. The Jack was not a nice toy, and usually hid in the shadows behind the castle. He bobbed around on his spring and sneered at the one-legged soldier, noticing his admiration for the ballerina. Because the Jack also liked her, he warned the soldier to stop looking at her and to beware of what might happen if he didn't. The tin soldier, ever resolute, did not respond, but he stood proudly, his chin set firmly, unwilling to let the jack-in-the-box intimidate him. The next morning the boy returned to play with his toys. He placed the tin soldiers in a line on the window sill, where they stood to attention, watching the world outside and defending the house from attack. Perhaps it was the Jack-in-the-Box's doing, or perhaps it was simply a gust of wind, but suddenly the window opened, and only the one-legged soldier fell outside. He landed with a loud clink on the cobblestones far below. The boy rushed to the window, but couldn't see where the soldier had fallen. It was raining, and he didn't want to go outside to search for him. Saddened, he turned away and went back to his other toys. Alone on the street, the tin soldier lay still, his shiny paint chipped slightly from the fall. Two boys playing in the rain and passing the house noticed him and picked him up. They admired his sturdy form and brightly painted uniform, but laughed at his single leg and decided to use him in one of their games. They made a paper boat, placed the tin soldier inside, and floated it in the gutter, which was filled with fast-moving rainwater. The tin soldier stood tall in the little boat as it bobbed and rocked along, carried by the rushing water. The boys ran alongside, cheering and laughing as the boat swirled and spun. The soldier remained steady even as the boat was swept into a storm drain. Inside the drain, the journey was dark and uncertain, but the soldier never faltered. He thought of the ballerina and reminded himself to stay brave. The water rushed even faster and flowed into the sewer, where the sound of scurrying rats echoed around him. Suddenly, a large sewer rat with sharp teeth and beady eyes appeared, demanding payment for the soldier's passage through this dark world. The tin soldier, unable to respond, simply stood his ground, silent and unflinching. He had nothing to give the rat anyway. The rat chased after him angrily, but the current swept the boat away before it could catch him. The boat emerged from the dark sewer into a canal where the water widened and calmed. But the paper boat had grown soggy and weak. As the boat began to sink, the tin soldier fell into the cold, dark water and sank to the bottom, his heavy tin body dragging him down. For a while, the soldier lay silently on the muddy bottom of the canal. He thought of the ballerina one last time, wishing he could see her again. Then a large fish swam by and swallowed him in one gulp. Inside the fish's stomach it was dark and cramped, but the tin soldier remained calm, even in this strange and scary situation. But luck came to the rescue of the little tin soldier. The fish was caught by a fisherman and taken to the market, where it was sold to a cook. Now, this cook just happened to work in the house where the tin soldier had once lived, and as she cleaned the fish, she found the tin soldier inside and showed him to the astonished household. The boy, recognizing his long-lost soldier, shouted with joy and carried him lovingly back to the playroom. The tin soldier was returned to his place on the table. Once again he stood proudly with the other soldiers, and once again his gaze found the ballerina. She was still there, as beautiful and elegant as ever, standing on one leg on the little copper star, and the soldier felt a quiet happiness in being near her again. But the soldier's luck did not last long. That evening one of the servants accidentally knocked him off the table. He fell into the fireplace, landing among the burning coals. The flames began to lick at his uniform, and his paint started to bubble and melt. Despite the searing heat, the tin soldier stood upright, his expression never changing. It was always fixed on the ballerina. At that moment, a sudden gust of wind blew through the window, and the ballerina was lifted into the fire alongside him. The ballerina's delicate paper body ignited quickly, and she was consumed in a bright burst of flame. The tin soldier melted slowly, and his sturdy figure was eventually reduced to a small lump of tin. By morning, when the fire had burned out, the servant cleaned the fireplace and found something remarkable among the ashes. A tiny heart-shaped piece of tin, all that remained of the soldier. But what was even more remarkable, the ballerina's star had melted into the tin soldier's heart too, as if they had become one. And so, the story of the steadfast tin soldier reminds us of courage, loyalty, and perseverance. Despite all his hardships, the threats, the loss, the water, and the fire, the soldier stood firm. Perhaps it was his silent love for the ballerina that gave him his strength. But his story shows us that even the smallest among us can face the greatest challenges with dignity and grace. The end.